Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy holidays. In this video, we are looking at the NBA Christmas Day slate. It is usually one of the best slates of the year. It's still going to be a very fun slate. It's just not as much as usual because we're missing some of these studs. We did get a couple of stars back, which will definitely help make the slate more enjoyable and make it more fun to watch. But you still have got huge contests across the sites. You still have some overlay on Yahoo and stuff like that on some of those smaller sites. So it's still going to be a good slate. You're spending time with your family and watching basketball. Another very, very good tradition, just like Thanksgiving Day of football. So let's get into it. As always, if you enjoy my videos, appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe. If you haven't already, thank you for all the support you have shown me this year. It's been another solid year in terms of just growing the channel a little by little every year, and until we try to keep growing until we get to like 25, 50,000 subscribers is the ultimate goal. But I appreciate you guys being here. And if you want to check out Prize Picks, they are running some big promos all for this Christmas Day slate. I'm going to post my Prize Pick stuff in the morning once we get like all the official guys that are going to be in or out. You can use my code process if you want to deposit match up to $100. But check out Prize Picks. That link is in the description. You can check out my website. That is in the description. And Twitter for updates at the DFS process. So starting off at point guard, we don't have Luka Doncic, who's still been ruled out for this contest. We did get James Harden back, and we have Steph Curry still. LeBron James, Curry, they didn't go anywhere. Harden is back. He's making his return after missing about 2 weeks exactly. Before he was in the protocols, he was playing 41 plus minutes a night, 40 plus minutes a night in close games. And some of these games were with Durant. He still was putting up pretty solid numbers. But Kevin Durant is still in protocol. He's not going to play. There might be some risk that Harden doesn't come out and play like 40 minutes after missing a couple weeks, but I was still expecting him to play at least in the 30s, high 30s. And without Durant, there's just too much usage for me to pass up on James Harden. So he's the first guy I'm plugging in at point guard. I like him more than Curry, more than LeBron, although I think you can put in LeBron at small forward and pay up for two studs on this slate. Westbrook is a fade for me at 10,000. Donovan Mitchell at 96. I'm not going to pay that much for him either. Devin Booker is looking better at 87. He looked very good last game. Still at a pretty high price tag for me to feel great about it, but he does give you upside for tournaments. If you wanted to roster Devin Booker, probably at shooting guard, you don't want to utilize him at point guard. Now the way Giannis is playing, you can kind of cross off like Drew Holiday. He's too expensive at 93. Brunson is still a decent play, but that game is probably one of the least appealing ones out of the five going into Utah, even though he still gets a nice bump without Doncic. Is still a tough matchup. Burks is a fade at 74. Patty Mills, now that James Harden is back, is a fade. So now that we got some news, we can kind of feel better about crossing some guys off our list. Schroeder, Conley, Kemba, Smart in this range. Definitely prefer Kemba. There's a chance he might come back off the bench, but I would say that there's still a decent chance he's going to play heavy minutes with the return of RJ Barrett. Quickly is out of protocols, but he's not going to play. They said he's doubtful for conditioning reasons. But Kemba's been playing out of his mind the last couple of games that he's gotten because of Derrick Rose getting hurt and a couple of the other point guards being in protocols. I would have still expected him to play heavy minutes. If he starts, I feel very good about putting him in at 61. If they decide to still start Alec Burks, and Barrett is probably going to start, so there's a chance he comes off the bench. But now we got word that DeLon Wright is probable for tomorrow's game, which is a good sign because they're missing Trae Young still. They're missing Capella. Okongwu just got placed in protocols. And Kevin Huerter is still out. So DeLon Wright still looks like a good play. He was starting to be a little bit better. He got hurt in that game, but he's still going to play heavy minutes. So at under $5,000 against the Knicks, I will have some interest in him. Bogdanovic at 47. I still prefer probably DeLon Wright, but Bogdanovic still a decent play for lower ownership. And at the bottom, there's nobody that I feel great about. Maybe we'll get some more news, but I think probably like the low 4K range. You have a couple of guys there with DeLon Wright, Bogdanovic in the high 4K range to consider. Moving on to shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown. They're pretty expensive. I don't think I'm going to break the bank for either of those guys. Same thing with Devin Booker. I'm looking for kind of a value pick here at shooting guard, and we do have some with Cam Reddish. At 54, he's been the alpha in the last couple of games. He got hurt against Philly, which sucked because he was playing pretty well on his way to putting up 30-plus fantasy points at $4,600. I think he's still a very good play at $5,400, but the price tag has come up a bit. We'll see if there's any other great value picks that we're kind of considering. Now that Giannis is back, Connaughton isn't very appealing. Quickly's not going to play. Bogdanovic is decent, but probably like DeLon Wright more than Bogdanovic. Bruce Brown is going to play, but who knows how much he's going to play. The one guy that I do want to mention is like Skylar Mays at 34. He's just still very affordable. He played 33 minutes last game. That might have been because of the injuries to DeLon Wright and to Cam Reddish, but I would still have my eye on Skylar Mays just because he's still gonna get you solid minutes even if he comes off the bench. But I think there's still a chance that he starts. But right now I'm gonna go back to $5,400 for Cam Reddish. Now that he's probable, I feel pretty good about him playing heavy minutes, and even in a blowout against Orlando, well, it was a blowout, then they managed to keep it close at the end, but he still played 42 minutes with 5 fouls. They're just going to have him out there, especially if he's playing well. So start off with James Harden, Cam Reddish at small forward. LeBron James looks like a great guy to try to jam in as well. He's just having to do everything for the Lakers without Anthony Davis. They're not getting very much production out of their bench, not getting much production out of Russell Westbrook, who is basically a league average player at this point, and he's getting paid like a top 5 player. But I would like putting LeBron James inside a James Harden lineup, so you can kind of hope that game goes off and you get superstars going back and forth. I love LeBron way more than Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Now that Giannis is back, Chris Middleton isn't interesting. Barrett is expensive. Well, he's not expensive, but he's probably going to be slightly limited maybe in his return. And they've gotten big usages out of Kemba, and Randall still likes to shoot, and Burks. That if a $5,900 RJ Barrett beats me, then so be it, but I don't expect that to happen. For some better value picks here, you have Otto Porter Jr. at $3,900. We'll plug him in at power forward. I feel very good about this pick. He is starting. The Warriors still very limited on bodies. Damian Lee entered protocols. They don't have Andrew Wiggins. They don't have Jordan Poole. So you've seen Otto Porter play decent minutes, 29 and 30 the last couple of games. He's been super productive. And all of a sudden his price tag went down from 48 down to 39. They're not getting Wiggins back. They're not going to get Poole or Damian Lee back. So you do still expect 30-plus minutes out of Otto Porter. And he's been really, really producing. And if you give him minutes, he can shoot the 3. On the season, he's shooting the 3 at a very respectable rate, 40%, and can get you some blocks and steals, which has been nice as well. So a couple of value picks so far, a couple of superstars. Moving on to other guys at power forward that we can kind of consider. Giannis, don't know how much he's going to play in his first game back from missing a couple. Same thing can be said about James Harden, but I just like Harden without Durant more than I like Giannis, still having Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, and they got Bobby Portis back, so they're kind of almost fully healthy. Porzingis, 88, he's questionable. Even if he plays, I'm not that interested. I'd probably go down to like John Collins, who's going to have to get a lot of minutes at center this one. He's going to play big minutes as well. He was in foul trouble against the Sixers and Embiid, which isn't super surprising. But against the Knicks, he's going to have to play a ton of minutes, like 41, which he played against Orlando, because they also don't have Okongwu, who is now in protocols. Other picks that look appealing would be like, you can't really look at Cousins anymore. Griffin is a fade. Maybe Robert Williams, if Horford remains out, would be interesting because his Freedom is now in protocols as well. But Gorky Dang at $3,600 is another great value pick. He started the first game at center, Orlando. Last game he came off the bench against Philly. They started Okongwu, who played very well. Now they don't have Okongwu. They're playing up against a big Knicks team that Gorgeous Dong, also he's known as. I think he's going to be another very good value pick alongside Otto Porter. So that's a couple very solid value picks. If you wanted to pay up at center, you can get up to Rudy Gobert if you wanted to. But I kind of like just going with the value pick at center with like Dang, or I like John Collins at 78. And the last piece we can kind of talk about here is if you want another value pick at forward in the 3 to 4K range, like B. Jelly still looks decent with all the guys out on the Warriors side. You have Jay Crowder as a decent pick. James Ennis, very low owned potentially. But I'm going to probably try to get up to like John Collins if I can. He leaves you with $3,900 left. You can plug in a couple of other value picks that we have on. Atlanta is very limited on bodies, and the Warriors are going to be limited. So like Gary Payton at $4,300. He looks like a good value pick as well. But I like John Collins. Atlanta team looks very appealing to target. Collins against the Knicks, going to have to play some big minutes at center. Leaves you with 39, even if you plug in like a $4,300 player, you can still fill it out at utility. But that's about it for the video. If they do not have Porzingis on the Dallas side, then you can plug in Dwight Powell, who's only $3,300. He could be a decent value pick. Probably get you in the 20s if Porzingis remains out. But that's it. Looks like Atlanta is going to be a very appealing team for me tomorrow, just with all the injuries and the COVID issues they're dealing with. That's it for DraftKings. Let's talk about FanDuel. All right, for FanDuel here, point guard plays. Still very highly want to get to James Harden, even though he's the most expensive player. I still like him more than Steph Curry, way more than Westbrook at 98. Holiday is a fade now that Giannis is back. You can maybe look to Donovan Mitchell, but I plug him in at shooting guard. Brunson is kind of expensive for the tough matchup. Kemba is 66, so you probably want him to start before you play him, even though he's been playing out of his mind. I expect him to be super popular tomorrow. And for the value picks, it's DeLon Wright, although his price tag has kind of jumped up. He's like the only solid option that I'm looking at. There's nobody really in the 4K range that looks very appealing. At shooting guard, you can plug in James Harden here if you wanted to. But Chris Middleton, I'd rather get to Donovan Mitchell. I'd rather get to Jaylen Brown at $7,800, who's been playing very well the last couple of games. Yeah, Bogdanovic at $6,000. He makes some sense here. Grimes isn't very appealing. Fournier takes a hit now that Barrett is back. Still like DeLon Wright, but Cam Reddish still a guy that I'm probably going to try to get to on both sides. He's been playing pretty well the last couple of games, and they are going to need somebody to facilitate and to really take some shots, because Trae Young takes a ton of shots. They don't have him there. Reddish will take some of those. You're going to have like Bogdanovic and Collins absorb some of them, but Reddish has shown a big ceiling. I probably like Reddish more than DeLon Wright. Small forward, LeBron James still very appealing at 10.9. Easier to pay up for 2 stars on FanDuel. It's probably something I'm going to try to do. I like Jaylen Brown at 78. He's been shooting the ball a lot better. Looks like he's fully recovered from his hamstring injury. He's played 35 and 34 minutes the last couple of games, putting up 30-plus real life points in each one. Nwora is a fade. He's very expensive now that Giannis is back. Looking at Burks as a good value pick at 56. He's somebody that I'm still looking to try to get to. Other plays in the 4K range would be like Otto Porter. Still think he looks like a good option just because he's looking at about 30 minutes. And at his price tag, he can put up 33, 35. You get those extra bonuses for blocks and steals. He's normally not going to get you multiple steals a game like this, but it's still one that they're going to need somebody to take some more shots without Wiggins, without Jordan Poole, and Porter can get hot from 3. At power forward, you can get to LeBron James at 10.9. Giannis is right there at 10.8, so it's a tricky spot. Usually you're looking to get to Giannis over LeBron, but without Davis and Giannis missing a couple of games due to health issues or the COVID issues, I'll probably prefer LeBron just slightly over Giannis tomorrow. John Collins is kind of expensive at 85. I still think he's a good play, but Bobby Portis is too expensive. You can maybe go to Julius Randle, but Blake Griffin, Nwora, Claxton, they're fades for me. I'd rather go to Robert Williams, or I'd rather pay down for Otto Porter. Go with him as a good value pick. You have like B. Jelly here at 4,000. He makes some sense, but you're probably looking at like LeBron as one of the best spend-ups across the sites. And at center, I don't really need to pay all the way up here. Like Gobert is expensive. We're getting decent price tag on Randall, but I think Collins and Randall look similar. I have no interest in paying over $6,000 for Cousins now that he's going to go back to a bench role and play limited minutes. Not looking to pay $63 for Griffin. So it's a spot where I'm probably going to go with a value pick. And I think Gorgeous Dong is probably one of the best center plays on both sites. $3,500 min price center option for you on FanDuel. He's looking at 20s, high 20s minutes, maybe low 30s. If he's playing very well, it makes sense against a big Knicks team because they only have him and John Collins as a really true guys that they're going to play at center. They don't have Capella. They don't have Okongwu. So you're looking at least 24 to 28 minutes out of Gorgeous Dong. And at his position, there's not a ton of other great options. So going with these 5 leaves you with $6,400 left, which I think is plenty. Still pay up for another superstar if you wanted to, but feel very good about Harden, Reddish, Otto Porter, LeBron, and obviously Gorgeous Dong. And that is about it for the video. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Best of luck tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoy the day, not only watching basketball, but spending time with your family. Hope you guys win some money tomorrow, and I'll be back at it maybe in the morning to make a football video because I still haven't done that yet. But stay tuned, and see you all next time.